everyone, welcome back to Inside Game for Friday!
Oh, it's Friday. You know what that means? It's the weekend! Yes! Oh, God, that actually hurt my ears.
My God. So happy Friday, everyone. We've got another Anthem story. Woo!
Yeah, thank God. We almost made it a whole week without talking about it, but we gotta reset the clock.
Well, actually, it's more of a Dragon Age 4 story, as you probably know by the thumbnail, but still, it has to do with Anthem as well, because we're talking about BioWare.
Also, people click on Anthem stories, so here we go. The headline is that some of the lead creators behind Anthem are leaving that project and switching over to Dragon Age 4.
Wow, well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Anthem is in a great place right now. No more work needed, right? Everyone. Where'd my co-host go?
I'm back, just like BioWare, out of the frying pan into another frying pan that's maybe even hotter than that.
Anyway, tell us more about this, Brian.
So the folks that are moving over to Dragon Age 4 include some heavy hitters: executive producer Mark Dara, lead producer Michael Gamble, and lead director Jonathan Warner.
Yeah, I've got all their trading cards.
They seem to have on Twitter kind of confirmed that as well.
I mean, it's not really a big surprise. Like, they haven't ever officially announced it. What is it? The Dark Wolf Rises, the Great, what was it? Anyone remember? Dara in a recent tweet definitely said, definitely seemed, that's a weird word of combination.
It's bad writing, I don't know what to tell you.
Dara in a recent tweet definitely seemed to confirm that he's now working on Dragon Age 4.
Yeah, and earlier this week when Gamble was asked an Anthem question by a fan, he referred them to producer Ben Irving and head of live services Chad Robertson. We're not making these names up, these are real people.
They seem to be running the Anthem show now, such as it is.
Yeah, so, and while it makes sense that BioWare would shift resources to Dragon Age 4, since that is the next game on deck, this is not a great sign about the studio's long-term plans for Anthem.
I mean, maybe. You need a lot of people on deck to launch a game, then once it goes into maintenance mode, kind of, if you're just cranking out content, you don't necessarily need the same people that create a new project.
They need more than maintenance right now. They need a full overhaul. I don't know what a rehaul is.
Hey, look, if we complain loud enough, they'll remake Sonic.
But Sonic and Anthem cowards.
So last week, you might remember, we reported that Anthem's development team gave kind of an unsettling update to players.
Yeah, all that stuff they promised, turns out it's not happening. Not yet, anyway.
Sad.
The bad news is they're still having to fix basic problems with the game, prioritizing bug fixes, stability, and game flow over new features or new content.
That's thrown off their whole roadmap for new content, leading some people, like us, to speculate that the game that BioWare once had a 10-year plan for, well, it might be starting to look more like a 2-year plan, maybe 3, maybe just light vacation, who knows.
But hopefully for those Anthem players, the remaining team can right the ship, because it's not looking that great right now. At least it's not riding with any amount of speed, which is kind of what most people are hoping for.
Yeah, what are they gonna do in the meantime, Brian?
Well, in the meantime, it's safe to assume, I think we can say this, that BioWare has a lot riding on Dragon Age 4, considering that Mass Effect Andromeda and Anthem, they haven't exactly set the world on fire.
Yeah.
Set something on fire.
Was that a Notre Dame reference?
No,
Nope.
not even close. I forgot that happened.
Yeah, the world moves fast.
No, I'm all about colors of the wind, baby.
That was 2 weeks ago.
Ironically, it was a previous Dragon Age game, 2014's Dragon Age Inquisition, that may have contributed to the shit show that was Anthem.
In a big expose about what went wrong with Anthem, Kotaku reported that the development of Dragon Age Inquisition was extremely chaotic and it only came together at the last minute. I mean, even saying it came together is... oh, that's being a little more than fair. That led the BioWare heads to believe in something called, quote, BioWare magic. A very unscientific concept that everything will work out in the end when you force people to crunch.
Any company that is successful for a long period of time starts to forget what actually made it successful in the first place. Then you bring in new managers who just assume that because they're part of this team that's always had success, everything must be successful in the future. And then when you start to raise concerns, people are just like, shut up! It'll always work because it always has, baby!
Sure, I'll paint a picture for you. An executive at EA pops his head and says, hey, how's the game looking? The developer says, oh, not really good. I'm freaking out right now. Executive says, how can we fail? Because we're BioWare and we can't possibly make a bad game. See you next weekend.
As Kotaku put it, quote, it's a belief that no matter how rough the game's production might be, things will always come together in the final months.
But in the case of Anthem, that BioWare magic just sort of ran out.
Yeah, so where does that put us now, Brian?
So now we're going all in on Dragon Age 4, and we don't know much about it yet, but we do know that much like Anthem, BioWare is planning for it to be a live service game. So the dreaded games as a service tag. It's currently in development at the BioWare office in Edmonton, Alberta, and it's already gone through at least 2 versions at this point.
Wow.
Apparently the initial version, which was codenamed Joplin, sounds like it had a lot of potential. It was going to be smaller than Inquisition, and Kotaku reported that it would, quote, focus as much as possible on choice and consequence with smaller areas and fewer fetch quests than Inquisition.
Sounds good.
Yeah, Yeah.
The dev team working on it wanted to emphasize repeat play with areas that changed over time and missions that branched based on players' decisions.
Right, but Joplin was put on hold in 2016 so that the staff could work on a much more important game, Mass Effect Andromeda.
At the time, it probably had a bigger brand pull, whatever, blah, blah, blah.
Sure.
And then a year later, Joplin was outright canceled because this time it was Anthem that needed help.
There's always something, right, Brian? Just the little baby needs help.
Yeah, R.I.P. Janis Joplin. It died of a heroin overdose. It was very sad.
Is she dead?
Janis Joplin? Oh yeah, she's long
Super
dead.
dead.
I gotta go on the internet more.
At any rate, the death of Joplin sounds like it was kind of the breaking point for a lot of the veteran Dragon Age team. In the aftermath of that cancellation, several key staff left BioWare, including most notably the veteran Dragon Age creative director Mike Laidlaw.
That's a name I actually recognize.
It's streaming for a bit,
Yeah.
which was kind of weird. And then he joined another company. I can't remember which one.
I think he went to go make like D&D games or something.
Help us with that lower third, Autumn.
Yeah, ding.
Thank you for saving us.
Yeah, but BioWare wasn't done with Dragon Age 4. It's been rebooted and it's now called Morrison because they like naming game projects after dead musicians.
I mean, if you're gonna die in a bathtub and watch a Native American walk by, why not? Do it in Paris. Thank you for getting that joke. I'm
I
sorry.
didn't.
You've never seen The Doors?
No.
Oh, okay.
It's too adult for me. There's something about catching a load to the face that's instantly sobering.
It's being built using Anthem's tools and code base.
Oh, what a good sign. Great.
And it's gonna have a live service component, much like, you guessed it, Anthem.
I mean, I get it. BioWare needs something like that under their belt. They need a constant revenue stream to stay alive in this world. It's what EA kind of demands of them. They're trying their best, but it does seem like in recent years a whole lot of their talent has left, so it's just not that company anymore. Reminds me a lot of what we're seeing with Activision Blizzard right now. Trying to launch a lot of live service products too. Diablo Immortal, Mike Morhaime boned the f out.
The rebooted version of the game is intended to walk a fine line between storytelling and a live service model that EA just seems to love so very much, which, yes, sounds
Delicious
a lot.
money, yeah.
Sounds a lot like what Activision was pushing with Destiny, so.
Yeah, that raised some alarms with players because Dragon Age as a franchise is typically very story-based, not a loot box extravaganza.
Really, no.
It's really galling to think that if you're getting into this like immersive single-player story-driven world, that at some point they're just gonna smack you in the face with asking for money, basically.
Sure, you killed all the boars. Oh, the boars are back because someone else is here.
In 2018, BioWare General Manager Casey Hudson responded to some of the chatter over Dragon Age 4 and tweeted, quote, "Reading lots of the feedback regarding Dragon Age, and I think you'll be relieved to see what the team is working on. Story and character focused. Too early to talk details, but when we talk about it live, it just means designing a game for continued storytelling after the main story."
It's also worth noting that the game is still very early in development and the concept could change one or more times between now and whenever the release date is and whatever the other dead rocker from the 70s is name they want to use.
Something rings hollow about that.
Hendrix.
Tons of RPG developers have tried to develop games that just have bolt-on content in the end, just keep selling you stuff. But they all run into this problem that players grind through content faster than anyone can make it. They don't want to pay higher prices for DLC, so it's a model that's been tried and it always fails. So I don't know what Hudson's getting at here. The recent news that Anthem heads are now working on Dragon Age 4 isn't going over well with a lot of folks online for a pretty good reason.
On Reddit, a user named F. Homer wrote, "I don't know how anyone can be optimistic about Dragon Age 4 when the news story is, quote, game in development hell adds leads from Anthem. Ouch." Then F. Homer concluded by saying this may be their last game before EA shutters them.
Oh, man.
And that was the top-rated comment on the story, so not great at all.
Another Reddit user, Rudy Tex, wrote, quote, "You gotta be kidding me! The studio is hell-bent on hammering the last nail in its own coffin at this point."
Yeehaw!
Tucked his thumbs into his belt loops, fired up a few rounds in the air.
Why are my fingers different? Hopefully, though, BioWare will have learned its lesson from Anthem and give us the Dragon Age game that the fans really deserve, right?
It's Dragon Age Origins, so go back and play that again. Pick a new character.
Didn't go anywhere?
Yeah, frankly, at this point, BioWare could use a hit, not like a hit to the face, but a market hit, or at least not a total disaster. I don't know. Games like that take years to make. There's no way to cheat your way there. Dragon Age 2 is enough evidence of that. That game was a shortcut-riddled trash. I don't think they have the runway to make a proper Dragon Age game anymore.
Brian, what would it take you to get back into this hot franchise we like to call Dragon Age?
I just don't think RPG fans are going to put up with all those microtransactions. It's not, like Lawrence was saying, it's not the kind of game to shoehorn that stuff into. It's just not going to work.
We have Divinity Original Sin 2, Pillars of Eternity. There are other people doing the BioWare thing better than BioWare can anymore. It's rough. Most of their talent's gone, like Brian said. It's just, I don't know where they go from here.
It's dead in a bathtub.
You gotta roll her over.
Well, I think I hear what you guys are saying. Bring back Kingdoms of Amalur.
I'd be okay with that.
No one knows what that is. End the show.
Come on, baby, light my fire.
Pour one out for Harrison and Dragon Age Origins. Oh, I just blew a guy and a bunch of dudes were staring and cheering at me.
I only ironically deep throat cocks.
I blast animate girls' orgasms with my eyes so I can jack up with both my hands.
Months later, BioWare is still having to fix basic issues with the game, and that's thrown off the whole content roadmap that they had initially given to fans.
Yeah, the hits start coming and they don't stop, Lawrence, right?
I know. Long Beach. Can't wait. Blink-182 and Smash Mouth together at last.
Smash Mouth is going as an audience member.
Yesterday, Anthem's development team posted an update on the game's subreddit.